PKN 289. So we actually started this 10 seconds ago. I noticed immediately my audio was bad and started over. Okay. There's a subreddit devoted to like deep diving Wings of Redemption. And I want you guys to know that this is Reddit level conspiracy accuracy, right? Don't take this as fact. But that's fair to say, right, Kyle?
I would take it as fact personally, but to each his own.
It's about the Wings wedding. And I guess...
Do you remember, you ever watch the movie? This is related. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you ever watch the movie Hellraiser?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I know the plot.
You know, the main bad guy, he's Pinhead, and he's got this scene where he's explaining to someone who the Cenobites are. He's just like, angels to some, demons to others. That's the
cool
subreddit.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'll do the reading. I read it last night. It was 3 a.m. I was playing Tarkov. I hardly remember it. So Wings' fiance, Kelly, is still on Plenty of Fish. She still has a dating profile and was last active 8 days ago. Here's her current profile. Then there's some pictures as proof. Don't know what that means. Don't know if the pictures have screenshots or whatever. And I don't even...
it shows her that she's been active.
What does active mean? Does that mean she logged in?
She logged into the account.
Yeah, I think it just means you've logged in.
Okay, so that doesn't mean that she's actively dating. It just means she was on that site.
Woody, if you had proposed marriage to me, I would immediately delete my Plenty of Fish account.
Yeah,
that's.
Well, I'm kind of honored by that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I can't be out there playing the field if I got upcoming nuptials with a gamer tag.
So this guy, how does he know his fiance's mother?
Well, he gave her a call.
So he called her and talked to her mom. She's put the fiance's name is Kelly. I'm just going to use it because it's hard to talk about her without naming it. Her mother was clear. Kelly has put everything on hold. Kelly has asked that Wings not buy a wing. This comes from her mother and a secondary source who shall remain confidential. Her mother was clear about another thing. Kelly would never get married outside of a church venue. She'd never agree to a civil marriage, which was the plan. Her family are Pentecostal Assembly of God believers. They speak in tongues and shit. Richard lied, it says, about having stayed in touch with her over the last 6 years. They reconnected on Plenty of Fish after he messaged her after seeing her profile pop up in 2019. Wings suggested that she is moving in with him defeats the fact that she works in Myrtle Beach, effectively creating a 90-minute commute for her every day. Does that sound right? Are they 90 minutes from now? She has
45, the commute would be like 45.
She has a stressful job as a health insurance coordinator. She's very anti-Bernie Sanders, as Medicare would end her job immediately, and her family are Trump supporters. From her family and direct from her Plenty of Fish profile, she wants children and wants them to have them immediately. Note, there's nothing suggesting that her cancer issue would prevent her from having children. Her cancer situation deals with her thyroid. Once her thyroid is removed, you take Synthroid for the rest of your life. That's it. Confidential sources within her family, immediate family no less, that there will be no wedding as Kelly requires an additional cancer surgery this spring. Appropriate people have been notified that Wings searched for escorts. That might not be true. I have no...
He just visited an escort website. That's all.
But people were sending escorts to his house. He says people sent escorts to his house, and they said they were from there, which is what led him to that site.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, there's shit on my website, my from this thing. We've had trannies on the show, and that Backpage site that we went to like find them and talk to them. That's in my, well, actually, there's a couple computers ago, but that's in my history, perhaps.
I hear you. Plausible.
Right. So, and then that's where it ends. He's told, I guess, her family that he's been on that website. He's been looking for escort. So, it appears that Wings has, if this is to be believed, it's Reddit, it's the internet, it's craziness, that the latest Wings data is... she's a lot different than he said she was. She wants to have kids. She won't get married in a civil marriage. They told her not to buy a ring. A lot going on.
Yeah. I guess
very
his
quick
points
change
were
of
that
pace.
Let me wrap
his
this
points
up.
were that like he said that this was somebody that he'd been staying in contact with for the last 6 years. And I feel like Maury Povich right now. And according to the internet, that was a lie.
Yeah.
And he said that, she's a nurse who makes bank. A little research shows you how much she makes, and good job for her, but she's not going to be. You shouldn't be putting any added burden on her financially, right? She can take care of herself, but she's not going to be supporting,
both of you,
anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. This was the same. This is the same gentleman who catfished Wings, I believe.
Is he? So, I mean, we probably all faked some wedding with cancer patients before. So I don't think.
Yeah, we've been there.
Why judge?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually faked a bar mitzvah with a cancer child.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
We shaved his head, put him on that chair, carried him around. Maybe we all do it. It's a good way to make
in the
money.
Chair.
That's what the Jewish community does. They do that to celebrate cancer. Yeah, it's not for marriage. It's just any time. It's Saturday afternoon for them.
Yeah, made so much money.
Did Wings really exaggerate his relationship with this cancer patient to act like they're getting married? Did he hope it was true? Did he think it was true?
Maybe he misunderstood it, or I don't know. I'm leaning away. That
welcome to the benefit of the doubt podcast.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, guilty as charged. He definitely knew. Yeah, he knew that he was kind of exaggerating.
Yeah,
I would assume based on just what I've seen.
I don't know, man. It regardless, it seems a little mean.
Just put me in a sad mood.
I guess one way to look at it,
I feel bad for him.
Like you could look at it this way, I suppose. And maybe this is me just trying not to feel bad about this. Maybe contacting her family and letting them know what he's been saying about her is in a way protecting her. And she does seem like someone who needs protecting because she has cancer. She's just about to have a cancer operation in the spring. Mm-hmm. She's someone who's really looking to settle down and immediately start having children. And, she deserves someone who's going to do that for her. On the other hand, well, I certainly wouldn't have been contacting her family and sticking my nose in it, but I just don't know how to feel about somebody else doing so.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, I bet I have this idea that Wings is flexible on the kids thing. When that, I forget which of his girlfriends had kids, but the kids moved in and he became sort of a Mr. Mom, Dad type thing right away. And
yeah, he was washing their buttholes and giving them enemas and stuff.
I go straight there
Normal
too.
Dad stuff.
Look, if you let me babysit your kid, you can bet they come back with a clean.
The best thing about telling wing stories is you don't have to exaggerate or play it up for laughs or anything. You could be like, yeah, I saw this girl at the bar. She weighed a ton. Really, she weighed 2,000 pounds. Well, no, I'm just saying that. It's funny. You don't have to do that with these stories.
They come
gave
classic
a small
boilerplate.
He gave a 10-year-old child an enema who wasn't his child. Can either of you
just stringing those words together is so funny.
We all do that, right? I hand the kid back, say, Kyle, I cleaned the first 6-8 inches of his asshole, as you'd expect.
If I have a son and the babysitter, the male babysitter I hire gives him an enema while I'm at the movies with my wife or whatever.
You tip him,
I'm
right?
Calling the police.
No.
What? Oh, you bent him over and took a fleet enema and popped it in there and then told him this is normal. This is what you do before you get to watch South Park for the evening.
To be fair, and I like to be fair when we do this, because like I said, you can be fair and it's still funny. The mom requested this to be done, I believe. Or it was at least she signed off on it. Maybe Wings had been asking for it for a long time. Finally, she gave in.
That's a weird fucking mom. Yeah. And can you make sure my son's asshole is absolutely pristine by the time I return?
He was constipated. I believe that was the situation. And, I've been constipated once in my life, and it was when I was in prison. And but never before, has there been like more than like 2 days without.
I've never
food.
used an enema.
I've never used an enema either.
All the time.
I have taken like that
5-6
the
times a day.
X-Lax, the chocolate that makes you poop, or I forget which you mirror. Usually Frosted Mini Wheats gets the work done over here though.
Oh,
Fiber
good
One
salad.
bars, those taste so good too. They're like
a cup of coffee really gets you going in the morning usually.
Yeah.
I was drinking so much coffee in prison thinking like this will do it. And I would like I remember distinctly like feeling like on the right side of my left rib cage, I could feel something hard in there. I'm like, that's poo.
yeah, your colon was impacted. Yeah,
that's poo. And I remember like making sure nobody was looking and like massaging that hard spot. Come on, buddy. Come on now. Get on down there.
I want to hear Wings' side of this. I want him to be like,
I believe he has responded. I really don't follow this stuff. I was taking a nap yesterday afternoon, and my phone goes off, and I was honestly angry when it went off because like I was like, I just wanted an hour nap. What the fuck? And I look, and it's Mitty, and I'm like, and Mitty texts me maybe once every 2 months. Okay, like he only texts me if it's something important, and it's this. It's the link to this, and then afterwards it says laugh my ass off. And I'm like, all right. I mean, if Mitty sent something, it's oh God. Immediately I wasn't sleepy anymore. I had to get up. I had to get up and like go like find out what the deal was with this. And man, I don't know. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on the prostitutes. I really will. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why you would hide that and admit some of the other things he's admitted. That's sort of the way I'm rationalizing that in my head.
Yeah.
You know, like I fucked a couple prostitutes. It's no big deal. It's like I'm not proud of it. I don't think it's cool. It's kind of funny. It's kind of silly. It's a ridiculous experience, and I enjoy having those in my repertoire. But I don't know why he would. So I don't know why he would lie about that, unless he's worried about like maybe for all we know that girl has called him, been like, and you've been with ladies of the night, godless Jezebels. It's probably what a Pentecostal Assembly of God member would say. That sounds like a scary church.
That's anytime there are too many words to describe what kind of church it is, it's a bad sign. It means that they weren't okay with like top level, like Baptist or whatever. They needed like 4 more qualifiers for like playing with snakes and speaking in tongues.
I was going there with the snakes. I bet there's snakes.
I hope there's snakes.
I bet there's a preacher running down the aisle,
evolution.
shaking a fucking cobra in each hand like they're maracas.
Yeah.
It sounds like an improvement to normal church, to be honest. I feel like Taylor's not on board, but if they were chimps, he'd be there.
Oh,
I mean, yeah.
I'm going to release this rabid chimp, and the Lord is going to hold him back like God came down and closed the lions' mouths in the lions' den. Now what?
He done tore your eyelids off. That's the Lord telling you to see clearly for once.
He said you got to open your eyes to his compassion and love. You've been blind before, and today, oh God, it hurts. Why?
Blind now.
Oh, just as the Lord says, if your eye causes you to sin, you are better to pluck it out than to sin with that eye. And that is the service our chimp gives you. Look at that. He ripped off all the fingers on your right hand. Now he can't even beat off anymore. Yeah. That's what you get with a chimp. But have you ever seen those stories? Like, obviously, there was one really famous one where, hopefully I get it correct, where there was like a father snake charmer, like in this Pentecost, whatever the fuck kind of church. And he, for the longest time, it's a scam. And it's like, all right, well, we take these things and then they go and have their glands removed and then they can't bite and attack you. And he must have gotten real cocky one day or had a mix up and one of them tagged him and killed him because they didn't take him to the hospital. His adult son steps into the role and talks about, like, for some reason, like some rationalization for why his dad got tagged and killed. I think it was like 3 days later, the same snake killed that guy. And it's like, hopefully that church went under. Hopefully nobody was like, well, they was evil men. It's like, you attended the church for 14 years. Like, what are you doing? You shouldn't be allowed to do that with snakes.
We got smited.
Smitten. Smote? I don't know.
Smote. It's smote. Smitten is a whole different thing.
Yes, he was smitten by the snake. It means he wanted to fuck it.
Yeah.
But smote by the snake means that God sent those teeth right into your fucking jugular because he saw how stupid you were being.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it's smote. And what a cool word.
Yeah.
So the wrap up on that is Wing's probably not getting married. This girl doesn't want it. Her mom doesn't want it. And she has
2 for 2.
Her
Real
life
wedding?
is
Not happening.
cancer coming up, kids conflict. We'll see how it goes. Maybe he will marry her and they'll work it all out. Wings will say, you know what? I'll do kids.
I'm on a roll with my predictions. By the way, this weekend, Adesanya's going down. Joanna's going to win. The Chinese girl's also going down. 2 upsets this weekend. Get your money out, boys.
Did you hear that Rose Namajunas, I think that's pretty
Was
close.
offered to fight, wasn't ready.
Yeah. She took it off to work on her own mental health. She has mental health doesn't come easily to her. Like she's always often working that out. So that's interesting. Of course, her husband person was addicted to opiates. So that's
that's real deal.
Sailing. Presidential news is fun, interesting. So
who's the big winner today? I don't know yet.
I think that it's not a conspiracy to say that the Democrats, or like the moderate Democrats, are working together to make Biden more viable. Klobuchar dropped out. Buttigieg dropped out. They asked Biden if Buttigieg would have a place in his administration, and he said yes. I think Buttigieg dropped out because he was offered a spot if he wins. And I imagine Klobuchar was a similar thing. And part of me is like, what? That's terrible. That's not fair. That's it. But it is fair. I mean, or at least that's how it can work. The only difference is now it seems to be happening out in the open and in a faster pace because the primary is squished to something like 65% of the delegates are going to be out by Tuesday. Like they went from Iowa to Super Tuesday in 10 weeks or something, 8 weeks. And like it's going to almost take that long perhaps to figure out who the Democratic nominee will be. And
you're going to have a contested convention.
In it. There's no way she could. Do you think she's in it just to kind of like siphon off some Bernie support?
I don't know. She has a couple strong states. Like Massachusetts is coming up where she's from, and something else.
It's looking like she's going to lose her own state to Bernie.
I've read that too. But I think that she's competitive, and there's a chance she could win. Like she's probably hoping to win her own state and defy the polls. So she thinks she's in it, I suspect, and she's not getting offered deals to get out because I think here's the scoop. It was previously kind of 2 far left candidates and 4 or 5 moderate candidates. I can't, Biden, Klobuchar, Bloomberg, Buttigieg. I don't know if I missed any.
Yeah, a couple other ones.
Yeah. So, and then there was just Bernie and Warren on the other side. Now it's kind of 2v2. It's evened up. It's Bernie and Warren, Bloomberg and Biden. Bloomberg and Biden divide the people who are not as left as Warren and Sanders. And we'll see how that changes the dynamic of the race. Like it's conceivable that Biden does better if he gets all the moderate votes than Bernie. Or now that it's 2v2, and I feel like the Bernie fans of the world are like, this isn't fair. They all dropped out, but that's now you could argue it is fair. Now it's 2v2. It used to be 2v7
that guy
or something.
Bloomberg. What the hell is he doing? Like I feel like a lot of people should be more bothered by this, that he's just like decided, now, you know what? I'm actually not going to play by the rules. I'm rich enough that I can do whatever I want and just make workarounds for things. I'm going to pop in when it's convenient for me and kind of astroturf the entire country in $1 billion or so of advertising. And then it's like, isn't this just an oligarchy? Like being able to do that? You ideally don't want that.
I hear you. Like I've said this before, the money is speech thing, but let me just lay it out there super fast for people who haven't heard it. We all agree that we can buy a yard sign for our front yard, spend $15 on it, say, I love Trump or Bloomberg or whoever you want. And that is free speech, right? And then you take that to the next level and it's not a yard sign, it's a billboard. And the next level, it's a TV or radio spot. And on the next level, it's like hundreds of spots and canvassing the nation like Bloomberg did. And it's hard to draw the line and say, well, Taylor's lawn sign is totally okay. But this guy's radio ad, that's where it gets too far. That's not free speech anymore. Or like maybe it's not maybe the radio ad's okay. Maybe the TV ad's not okay. Maybe it's a Super Bowl ad where exactly does broadcasting your opinion not become speech anymore and become something dirty? Because it is dirty. I think we all agree.
Well, let's jump out there. Take a little stance that 250 million is all you can do.
I'm gonna draw the line.
There will be one person affected.
Yeah, let's say like I don't know. I'd be happy putting it into thousands of dollars instead of millions. Because like you look at the top political donors over the past 10 years, I think Bloomberg is I think is number 2. Like the only guy who donates more is Sheldon Adelson, who's Trump's like the Republican kind of bankroll guy. And it's like just seeing the amount that these people donate. It's like, oh, well, of course they own our politicians. Like a fucking course they do. And so you're right. I don't know exactly the amount of money, but going, the yard sign, that's the same as siphoning money out of the financial industry and fucking pouring it into making yourself a viable candidate. You know, it's
like porn, right? The Supreme Court decision on porn and free speech. He's like, I don't know what's art and what's porn, but I know it when I see it. Like it's hard to define. That is a similar type issue with the yard sign versus Super Bowl ads. Like somewhere in that huge span I've defined, it becomes buying political positions instead of free speech. But it's hard to like legislate the behavior and
I like what are they going to do if Biden wins? Like
Biden's going to win.
Biden,
you say
he's not making any damn sense out there.
Biden won Virginia.
He was talking about winning Super Thursday today. Like he's just not very cogent sounding. Like it's not going to look good for him to be on a stage, and Trump's just going to have a field day with him.
You know what's funny? I laugh along with the jokes, but when I watch Biden, most of the time, like okay, he stutters here and there, and sometimes he fouls up with the gun desk, makes it 150 million or something stupid. But I don't see him consistently talking like a crazy, worn-out old person like you do.
I saw him give an interview about this.
Okay.
The interviewer is saying, "What about this? Were you embellishing, or did you just forget?" You know, he doesn't have much of an answer. Well, what about this time? You haven't ran for Senate in a couple decades. What happened there? Well, it was, the core argument was what I was trying to get at. All right. Well, they get to the end of the interview, and it's like, maybe he's not so nutty. And he calls the interviewer the wrong name.
How wrong?
He's like, thanks, Chuck. It's Chris. But have a good day, Mr. Vice President. And he goes, okay. It was humiliating.
You almost had one, Joe. You almost had one.
Close. You made it to the finish line and you shit your pants.
Yeah, he's always been gaffe prone. And I feel like the
What about the molestation?
Well, I'm pro molestation. So that's different. The gaffes that he used to make, and they just said, man, why can't this guy avoid that? Now they see the gaffes and they're like, oh, he has dementia, he's a sundowner, etc. Like we see it through a different lens because he's 113, something like that, years old.
Close.
Yeah.
He has to have lost. I mean, you lose a step at some point.
You do. That bothers me with half our candidates. That that they're all a flashlight in the woods with low batteries. Every one of them. And
Trump's over there fucking shining like a bat signal.
I don't see it like that.
Bloomberg can afford any organs he wants. Just throw a new one in there, bitch.
That's the sole reason Mike Pence is there. He's never done a drug in his life. Those organs are prime.
I didn't follow what you were saying at first.
Type, right?
Are they the same blood type?
No, I'm just making that up.
No, I choose it to be true.
That'd be a really funny conspiracy. Did you know Mike Pence has the exact same blood type as Donald Trump? Rare AB negative blood type.
This needs to go on my Facebook.
I think not. Did you know that there is a surgeon along with Mike Pence everywhere he goes? Oh God. You type that up, throw it on Facebook, it'll go crazy.
I like that. I need to start posting shit as terrible as all my friends do.
Just make stuff up.
Let's make that our goal this political season. Is see how many fake news things we can get going. That would be kind of fun.
I like that.
We have to be even-handed with it.
I like that.
Whatever's funniest. And so we can do this. We can start some fake news.
But so the results for today won't be out for a little while. I guess California in particular takes a while to count.
Yeah, but you got exit polls.
Okay.
It's seemingly Joe Biden has won Virginia, which is that's a showstopper for Bernie.
For Bernie,
Is
you
it
said?
Virginia? To me, Biden does well in these southern states because they have such a large African American component of the votes.
Yeah, Bernie needed to be a lot stronger there. And it's not just about winning and losing. It's about how many counties you're getting, or how many delegates you're getting, I should say, out of them. It's not looking good for Bernie in
Really?
Virginia at all. Yeah.
I read that Bernie will almost certainly get more delegates today than Biden. It's just a matter of how much he
Let's
wins
see.
by.
Yeah,
Looks
we'll
like
see.
the estimated right now is. Wait, how the hell does? Oh, I guess. So even though Pete backed out,
People
they
are,
still have the
early
delegates
voting.
assigned to him
Well,
until
nobody gets those delegates. They're his delegates, even though he's gone.
Okay,
The
I
ones
wasn't
that he
sure how they
earned
did
in
it.
previous contests. But also, Pete will be earning votes today due to early voting. That was already all
Absolutely.
that stuff was in before he backed out, and as well as for Klobuchar.
okay.
So
Yeah, it looks like South Carolina is going towards Biden, Virginia towards Biden. Obviously, Vermont and New Hampshire go Bernie. Nevada's going Bernie. Yeah,
Is New
this
Hampshire voting
we'll see.
again? Oh, maybe you're talking about the. Maybe you're
I'm just
at-
looking at the CNN like summation page
Gotcha.
of everything. Yeah, it looks like 70. Biden's in the lead with 72, and Bernie's neck and neck with 66, and Elizabeth Warren closing the gap with 8. It's like, what the hell? Who the hell is Bill Weld? What are you doing, man?
Huh.
You won? Come on, just quit. Just quit, man. It's not looking good.
Yeah. So the fact that Klobuchar and Buttigieg pulled out to obviously support Biden is somehow both a weird conspiracy and normal and okay. Were they supposed to stay in and obviously lose just to help Bernie?
I think it makes sense that the DNC would they clearly want a more moderate candidate. That's pretty obvious watching.
Right.
And so them saying it would, in the same way, it makes sense to me, them telling the two moderates, Klobuchar and Buttigieg, like, hey, you might have a good position here within our organization if you drop and we get Biden in there. I could also see the DNC being like, hey, Warren, writing's on the wall. You're not going to get Massachusetts, probably your own state, but stay in it. I could see that.
They
happening.
also endorsed him, so take that for what it's worth. I don't know. It's a shame. Trump's going to win, so that'll be interesting. Trump train's coming through again.
I also think Trump is going to win. The polls say he's not, but I just think he is.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, right. Good point.
Well, count him out then. Yeah, the thing about Trump,
count him out then.
the thing about Trump is his numbers represent the percentage of voters polled who are willing to admit that they are Donald Trump
You think
voters.
that's a big?
I think it's a huge deal.
My world is filled with people who don't just admit it. They put a fucking flag on their roof and they wear the shirts and they wear the hat and say, I dare you to knock it off. I am so in love with this man. I'd suck his dick. I would suck Trump's dick just for the honor of it.
Remember that conversation we had in the Hangout where we all everybody in the Hangout, especially the three of us, all agreed about certain issues. Yeah, this is bullshit. The way they do this thing. But it's like, if we were polled, well, of course I'm on board with that.
Yeah,
and that. Yeah, that's how
Me
people
too.
are. That's how a certain percentage of people are about Donald Trump. They do not want the shame and everything else that comes along with being a Trump supporter. You get attacked. They like physically, not just on the internet. You can get physically beaten up.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't. It's one of those just would you rather walk around any busy area with a Trump hat on or a Sanders hat on or a Biden one or a what do you think is going to pan? If you gave me the choice of every hat, I'd be like, fucking give me a Yang Gang math hat or something. I'm not wearing that around a city.
Have you ever seen Die Hard with a Vengeance? It's the one where Samuel L. Jackson teams up with Bruce Willis.
Oh, I know where you're going on this.
This bomber has planted bombs in a couple of schools around the city. Won't tell him where. And he's making Bruce Willis's character jump through all these hoops, or if he wants to know where the bombs are. And he's distracting Bruce Willis so he can pull off a big heist. And he's also torturing him because Bruce Willis killed his brother. Well, the first hoop is I want you in your underwear in Harlem wearing a big poster board that
Oh
says,
yeah,
I hate brothers.
Kind
And-
of.
Kind of.
but a
And
worse
so
way.
he's out there wearing this shirt that says, I hate the N-word, and looking terrified. I'd rather wear that than a MAGA hat.
No, I hate the word. I hate that word so much. That's why I'm wearing the sorry.
Naggers. They're always complaining. Women. Come on. No. No.
I know the answer. I don't know if I should say it.
Miss 5 seconds remaining. Okay.
The black guy behind the camera. Just looking at him like, what the fuck are you about to do?
Who do you think has the best chance? Can Biden or Bernie stand a better chance against Trump?
Bernie. It would be my
Bernie.
guess. Yeah. Yeah.
I think on the debates, I think the debates are very important.
Okay.
And I think that I saw Trump tweeting out a video of Joe Biden's gaffes today, and it plays well. I feel like he's going to be able to make fun of that guy. I feel like Bernie's harder to make fun of. Like when you make fun of, if he's going to make fun of Bernie, it's going to be about his policies being pie in the sky. It's like, oh, you want to give everybody everything. And he's like, yes, that's right, I do. Really? Even me? Yes, you. Well,
I didn't realize I'd be included. I'm kind of being won over.
but with Biden, it's like, why don't you go touch some? I'd love it if we threw a joke in there about like, I was going to bring my young children here, but I didn't want them in the front row. That's far too close to Joe. He gets a little handsy.
The fucking.
You know what? I'm getting so goddamn bored of Mike Pence that stick in the mud. He won't even hang out with me and my wife. You won't believe this. I thought he was lying about it a few years ago. Bernie, how about my VP? How's that sound? Huh? Me and you together. We'll take out. That would be the funniest thing. If then you have to. Oh, Bernie would never agree to it, and neither would Trump. But that would be a very
Bernie would
funny
agree
ticket.
to it.
Bernie would agree to being Trump's
Hell
VP.
no.
This is his last chance. He's not going. He's not getting up to bat again.
Actually, when you're like 79 years old, shoot your shot. Like it's like, well, I'm gonna be dead in 8 to 10 months anyway. I may as well get this on my CV.
I'd love that. I'd love that if Trump went with a different VP. Like, he could use the coronavirus as like a reason for firing Mike Pence. Like his failures with it would almost like clean him of the coronavirus. Like I trusted Mike Pence to do a good job with this thing, and frankly, he just hasn't.
It's hilarious to me that he just like, ooh, this looks like a hot potato. Pence, catch, and just like ducked out of it.
Is that what he did?
Yeah.
Just like,
Yeah.
You're in charge of the coronavirus.
He did that. He did. They totally.
It's kind of a smart move if you think about it. Like if Mike Pence fails, Mike Pence's fault. If Mike Pence succeeds, I knew he was the man for the job. That's me. I'm your leader.
That's the worst
he's
leader
kind of
ever.
washing his hands of it.
I mean, I'm not saying it won't work or that it's not smart. I'm kind of agreeing with you, but I'll add that's a shitty leader. I would not want to work for an asshole like that, and that's who he is.
I mean, we didn't see Lincoln out there on the battlefield leading. Come on, like you got to delegate a little.
I didn't see Obama like passing the buck of responsibility on Ebola. Yeah, you didn't see him saying that, dude. I handed that off to the CDC. So really, Dr. fucking Gupta or whatever, he's the one who's in charge.
Wanted to handle this. He said, "Mr. President, I'm a virologist." I told him, "Fuck you. I'm the man. I'm the president. People chose me to lead. Give me that microscope."
I'm gonna take a peek.
Not made much progress.
All Trump has done is publicly pass the responsibility. He's
Which one is the disease? Is it that gooey thing there, or is it the spiky little one?
Those are
it's
pretty
spiky.
good accents.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are.
Man, that's pretty tough. I'm not entirely sure that I want to be in charge of this. Hey, you know what? Hey, Joe, if I give you this friendship bracelet, will you be in charge of it?
He would do it.
Absolutely. The reason I picked him is because he's functionally retarded.
Biden wasn't.
His ideal evening with me, no lie. He wants to have tomato soup and have grilled cheese sandwiches together. That's it.
It came out that Biden wasn't Obama's. He was only in some ways his first pick. His heart wanted someone else. I forget who, but his brain said Biden would help him win the elections better.
That makes because Biden's more moderate and they wanted to.
Or
grab
where's
him
he
in there.
from? Maybe it was a Pennsylvania
Delaware.
thing. Maybe it was a Pennsylvania thing that he thought Biden would help him carry PA, like state.
Should have picked
Maybe.
a Texan.
I don't want a politician in charge of any of this disease stuff. Like, what makes us think like, oh yeah, Trump or Pence or Obama or them, they understand diseases and transmission rates.
I mean, maybe it
and
was
this
a
and that,
venereal
like-
disease. I'd want Bill Clinton on board, but
Yeah.
with a virus like this, I don't think I want to.
People are freaking out over nothing. I've got something nastier than this right now. And let me tell you, I've done my part spreading it.
Such a
Yeah.
good accent.
You look behind him, all the interns are like,
That's the way it was walking in the Clinton White House. Is you stand there naked and you get deloused like an Oz. You know,
Coronavirus is in my county.
it's in Georgia.
It's spread. I don't see any in Missouri yet, but we got enough people coming here from Chicago that we're gonna end up getting
Yeah,
some.
big tourist attraction.
Well, I mean, people come here like a lot of how fucking.
I
work
mean, it's hard to
goes.
go around. I get you. Eventually, I got it.
It's done.
They made a
It's
big,
real
if they made a big arch that just went over the whole thing.
it'd be hilarious if they're like, coronavirus strikes East St. Louis, crime rates plummet. Like people are too sick.
Did
to
you
go
see the
outside
smog
and
in China? Like they have this
Is
like
it better?
satellite map of the
Probably terrible.
dramatically better. Like it was like they're like these were the pollution areas, and it's like this green cloud over like 40% of China. This is today, and there's like a little poof of green over here. Like everybody's nobody's working, everybody's hiding out.
Are you guys still at the same ranking number for this
Yeah,
coronavirus thing?
I mean, sure, I have enough toilet paper to last 3 months now. And yes, I ordered more noodles.
I read
Um,
today that
I'm gonna
92,000 people have been diagnosed and 92,000 something, 3,000 something have died. So that's a 3% death rate. Does that sound right?
It's over 100. The
Yeah.
numbers are climbing rapidly, right? They're climbing as fast as you can count, essentially. So because I looked today and it was like 118,000 or something like that. But
And how
yeah,
can you
that's-
even know if you can have it for like 3 weeks or something before?
yeah, 300,000
Yeah.
people probably have it right now, and we'll know about that in 2 weeks. It's pretty interesting. I've gone on lockdown. There will be no more deliveries coming in. I will not be going out. I've got enough soups and and dry goods and frozen foods. I got so many frozen vegetables. It's I'm in here.
You got some Purell.
I'm on total
We're sold out.
lockdown. And I started it as soon as I installed Escape from
Tarkov.
Tarkov.
Yes. This is more of a precautionary thing I'm doing. Jackie is not bought in yet, but
She's like, what do you
Honey, I'm
have?
keeping our family safe.
She told me she got a new car and I haven't programmed the garage door opener like in the car to open the garage door yet. And I'm like, I just don't have time. You play Tarkov 11 hours a day and there's hardly time to do anything else. Surely you understand.
I like the fucking like all the people talking about prepping the way Kyle did, but it's just on Twitter, people doing horrible preps where it's nothing but high protein hot pockets, like 10 bottles of Hennessy and a ton of weed. It's like shit gets real and you're gonna be in a real good mood for like 3 days, and then you're gonna wish you had some Dasani in there. You know.
Yeah, I got 100 bottles of Aquafina stacked up in there. I got 36 boxes of those cup of soups.
Well, and what you can do is you can just ride it out and just watch your favorite team, the Vegas Golden Knights.
Why do you have the Vegas Golden Knights up there?
Spiked.
But why
Yeah.
why the Vegas Golden Knights? You could have
I
spited
don't know.
it.
It's pretty.
Okay.
I just kind of like it. It's like the way Patrice O'Neal would talk about it on O&A, where Opie would be like, Patrice, you an Islanders fan? You got the hat on. Patrice like, what? Who the fuck are you? No, shit, this matched my shoes. He's like, oh, sorry. And he's like,
But I every time I hear someone talk about Patrice O'Neal, it's how great he was at cutting down other people.
so funny.
At some part, are you just an asshole? At some point, I meant to say, like it's too much. Sometimes people, like they said he took it too far. I feel like they're being nice to him because he's dead, but I don't know if I want to be cut down that much. And it seemed like the people who say this kind of agree it's too much sometimes too.
Maybe sometimes, but it was more like the Opie and Anthony, the kind of show it was, like he fit right in. And like you could rip on him too. Like Norton would make fun of him ruthlessly, and it was just kind of the banter they had there. And so when he was making fun of like everyone else in the room, it didn't ever come off as malicious. Like
that's the O&A show.
Would get O&A show is a little different.
He got kicked out of the comedy club for ripping everybody down. He got kicked out. They wouldn't let him go in anymore. So he stood out front and insulted people. So they didn't like that either because it was too out in front. And then they eventually let him back in the club, but only like upstairs at this like comedians area, separate from everyone else, so he could be a toxic fuck with more privacy.
I thought he was hilarious. So I'm very biased. I have rose-colored glasses with Patrice because I listened to that show so much.
Okay.
So I thought he was a fucking hoot.
Kevin Hart was doing his routine that wasn't going well. And all of a sudden, a phone book lands on the stage. And Patrice O'Neal's like, read that! That's better material than what you're doing right now. It's just like, everyone's watching right now. I'm trying to get good at this.
Well, Kevin Hart made fun of him too. There's an old clip that's hilarious from the O&A show where, it's just him in there with Opie and Anthony. He's talking about how he let Patrice stay at his house for a while when he first came out to LA to do a little bit of work. And he's like, and one day I walked into the computer room, like my office, and I see that big giant back of Patrice's facing a screen. I can't see what's on it, but I see a huge bottle of baby oil right to the side of him. And so I walked over and I'm yelling at him to stop. I have to walk all the way up to him and slap his headphones off his head and tell him to stop beating off in my office. And I let him live in my house and disrespect him. And it was like, that's an embarrassing story too. But it was like, Patrice didn't take offense. They were all laughing and having a good time.
I think I've heard this story. Patrice didn't even stop.
No, he's just...
he's like, no, you quit bothering me.
Yeah. It was... Like I won't go into it because it's just parroting that, and like I already talked about O&A too much. But yeah, so many funny fucking clips of Patrice. I listen to those all the time.
How did he die? Heart disease? Just a guess.
He had a stroke. I think it's due to his diabetes because he was like tremendously fat and really just never.
Now that's just not nice, Taylor. How could you speak ill of this man?
It was diabetes.
You're right. He had the beatus. Yeah.
My dad sent me a text message yesterday, and it's this piece of paper, and there's a post note on it that says, colon cancer. It has spread to lymph nodes and liver. And I was like, oh no. I called him. I was freaking out. It's Chuck. It's Chuck.
Oh, Chuck, the alcoholic dude.
The old alcoholic guy that worked for him years back. Poor old Chuck.
He could have mentioned that with the text.
Yeah, that would have been a good lead-in.
I was like, what the fuck's your problem? What are you doing? You're a terrible texter.
Your father's tech incompetency is great.
Yeah.
I like it.
Awful. Yeah, I was freaking out. Yeah,
is liver cancer very common? I feel like that's not one. I feel like boozers get like cirrhosis.
Colon cancer, and then it spread to liver and lymph nodes.
Yeah, I don't understand cancer. Like, oh yes, I've got colon cancer in my lip. Okay.
This is very ignorant also, but my only understanding is like, oh, if a little piece of your colon cancer falls off and it travels somewhere else in your body and it lands in your liver and it starts to grow there, then they'll say, oh, your cancer spread. Like it's metastasized.
It's those retarded cells. They end up free floating around, getting into other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But is it still colon cancer in your liver?
No.
That's the part.
No, it would be just liver cancer. I think.
Now it's liver cancer.
Yeah, and if that goes to his like pulmonary system, then he's got lung cancer.
I'm not sure you're right. I'm not confident though. Are you confident that it becomes lung cancer?
I'm pretty. Yeah, I think. I don't think
you
it's
can't get liver cancer in your brain. You get brain cancer.
Yeah,
my dumbass thought you could. It just
He's got brain liver cancer.
Where
is it?
Right? Like I feel like if you had brain cancer and it spread.
I don't know.
If you had colon cancer, it spread to your brain. They still call it colon cancer in your brain, but maybe I'm dumb. It's possible.
I wouldn't go that far. I think, but that is the case. That when the cancer spreads, it's about the cells of that organ or system now being cancerous, and so liver cancer isn't like a different flavor of cancer. It's just cancer in your liver. You know what I mean? It's like a burn. It's like you don't say, "Oh, I've got hand burn." It's that special kind of burn that you only get on your hand. It's like, well, no, that's just a burn that happens to be on your hand. That's how cancer is.
Yeah.
In any case, Chuck looks like he's not gonna.
How old is
make
Chuck?
it. 50, 55.
So he's a hardcore sun up to sundown boozer, and he ends up getting taken out by cancer. That's probably not the
he
future
shot
he
himself
even saw
once
for
and
himself.
survived that.
Wow, he's really
Been hit by a car.
This
Well, I mean,
doesn't
that's
sound
not
like
his
a
fault.
great.
He was
life.
he was in jail when I was in jail. My second day in jail, they wheeled Chuck in a wheelchair. He was happy to be there. Egg salad sandwiches. Had it all in his mustache and beard. Hey man, what's going on? That's an excellent Chuck impression, by the way. Hey man, what's going on?
Let's get Chuck on the show. Chuck's
No.
final days.
Oh,
I
God.
mean, Chuck's.
Are we brainstorming for PKA titles like we do after the show right now?
No,
We have
I
to
don't.
mealy mouth around everything.
Yeah, Chuck's had a ridiculous little life there. I think he's lived without electricity for a decade now.
My father-in-law grew up without hot water. It's
Yeah, mine did too.
just they were poor. Yeah,
My father.
And my grandparents did.
without hot water. I thought it was less common.
Without running water.
Oh yeah, they didn't have running water. They had outhouses.
Yeah.
They had a
Went to the
cold
creek.
water flat. That's what they called it. It's
Oh,
There's
I just
13
remember-
holes in a old tin roof.
I don't know.
Nobody
that
else
song.
knows that song.
No.
no,
Me and
but
my
it's
family was living proof. The people who forgot about poor white trash. If that ain't country, I'll kiss your ass.
No, I don't know that, but
If that ain't
sounds
country.
catchy.
Oh, it's great. It's David Allen Coe. How do you not know this?
David Allen Cohn.
You don't know who David Allen Coe is now?
I mean, it sounds familiar. I assume he's a country man based on the way you were singing it. But maybe I'll have to expand my horizons a bit. David Allen Coe.
stock market went down. I made a
Shocker.
who knows? I turned out my investment triggered at the end of Friday. So I was very excited. I was like, I timed the lowest low. Like I kind of missed out on some of the investments I could have done during the Trump rise. And then it hit a 2-year low. And I bought it like the lowest minute of a 2-year low. Like this jackass just timed the market. And then it went down. And then went up. And then it went back down. So I don't know where it compares to where
It's going to go down more. Don't worry, it's going to go down more. This thing's just getting started. We're about to start cooking with fucking grease, and tens of people will die.
Tens. It'll get higher than that.
I don't think so.
I'm looking. Oh, I'm still up actually. It was lower Friday than it is now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Well,
it is. I made a tweet about it. Yesterday, the stock market was just rocking, and I'm like, this is so nice. Like I missed a lot of the Trump stock gains. Suddenly, a 2-year low pops out of nowhere. I time it to the minute, unusually, and things are going well. But I was still kind of bummed out because in Tarkov, I was just getting my shit pushed in game after game after game. I'm like, this doesn't even feel like a good day.
Well, I'm sure your real money will console you once it comes back.
You should have bought that put option on Corona beer, right?
Yeah.
People are like 30%
Corona
old,
beer.
maybe 37% old. We're making a connection. They thought that maybe you were getting the disease from the beer.
Don't act like there's no connection at all.
There's no connection
Dude,
at all.
it
Now,
has
is that
the same
confirmed?
name. Yeah.
I heard it started at the bottling plant.
Why else would they
in-
call
in
it the
Wuhan.
coronavirus?
They've
Yeah.
actually changed the name, and I bet the Corona is so happy.
I wonder, you think that's why they're calling it COVID-19?
No, I just think that's what it's.
Actually called.
Yeah, yeah.
But why did they call it Corona?
This is now the Dos Equis flu. We got to regain some market share. Yeah. Been getting
I would
devastated.
lean into it and act like Corona was a vaccine. You don't want the coronavirus, do you? Take small doses, 16 ounces a day.
They're just fucking sued off their ass for implying that their beer helps you. Yeah. Actually, it turns out that it really tends to lower your immune system. It's really, you recommended 11 a day to people. It's too much. It's too many a day.
I'll have it.
Oh,
Go ahead.
COVID-19 is an abbreviation for the coronavirus.
That can't be. There's no V in. Oh,
Let me
there's
help.
virus.
The CO stands for corona. The VI is for virus, and the D is disease. COVID-19. And the 19 is the year of our Lord, 2019.
How many people died from what was it a few years back during
H1N1?
Trump? Yeah, that kind of just was nothing, right? Like how many people died from H1N1?
Is it that or SARS? I forget, or they might even be the same thing. But I was watching Sanjay Gupta on CNN, who's actually pretty good. I know it's CNN, but I like that guy. And he was talking. I think it's H1N1. I might be mixing it up with SARS, but that took off in a huge way. It's year after year, it still goes on, and it's actually part of the annual flu shot most of the time. And it's just part of our life now.
So that was just a really bad flu season, kind of, right?
Well, that's as much as I know.
You know how many just the good old-fashioned flu killed last year?
Probably a lot of old people.
Guess how many people you think the flu killed last year?
90,000.
600,000.
Taylor is much more correct than you would think. The stats here are varying a little bit. It says 300 to 650,000. And there were 12 to 60,000 deaths in the U.S. I guess maybe
it's an enormous amount of variability.
Big disparity. I don't know. I guess maybe it's kind of hard to nail down exactly. Well, she got the flu.
These bastards are like the cable guy. You know, where am I going to be there? Between 11 and 7, bitch.
How many people will die?
There because you need TV, don't you? You like that? Bastards.
And Trump's like, how many people is this going to kill? Somewhere between 50 and 5 million.
I'd say at least 10.
Correct.
Yeah, fact check on Trump. Unfortunately, he's correct. At least 10 will die.
At least.
You don't know how much this pains us to print here at Snopes.
but it turns out 30,000 is more than 10.
Yeah, I told you.
I got some caviar today. You ever had caviar? Have you ever had caviar?
I have.
It's been a long time. I didn't like it.
It's all right. You know, I like it when it's on top of the sushi.
I've been just putting it on crackers.
I had it on crackers too. And I was like, I feel like I like the salt on the cracker more than the caviar. Like this cracker's better without caviar. And it was
lower calorie. Yeah.
And the only thing I really knew about caviar is that it's very expensive. So I tried it. I didn't like it. And I was like, well, I'm going to leave this for people that do. And I'm going to have crackers.
Yeah. It's like cigars or really expensive scotch. Is it worth getting into?
No, probably not. I'm digging it though. I know there's like tons and tons of different kinds. So I did a bunch of research and I ordered some off the internet. And I didn't get some like outrageously expensive stuff, but I did get expensive stuff, and it's good. I won't be ordering anymore. But
but you liked it. You would have it if you if you were at a
if I had it right
something.
in front of me right now, I'd eat some. I'm when I get done with this, I'm gonna go get a little scoop of caviar out of the fridge.
How much are you eating at once? Just like 2 crackers?
Yeah,
full
pretty
of
much.
It's so rich, right?
I got 2 ounces of it. Yeah, so it's like,
there's always a lot of it. It's like you get to an age about Taylor's age, I would say, when like all the people get married, and Northeast weddings, everyone has caviar, and I'm just like, you didn't have to do this. You could have saved $100. None of us really like it.
Yeah. You could have got the firecracker shrimp from Panda Express. That would have been more of a crowd pleaser.
Have you seen that stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut?
I would prefer. I mean, when you go to a wedding, sometimes you get a nice like beef or chicken dish, but so often like they try and fancy it up too much. Where it's like it's just too much. And because there's so many people there, the piece of chicken you have is that big, not enough chicken or not enough beef, especially if you order beef. I feel like they fucking ration that shit. But if they had just like a couple boxes of pizza, like some variable options on the table at a wedding, not classy at all. I wouldn't want to do that at my wedding. But if I went to a wedding and they just had a Trump style layout of pizza and Chick-fil-A, that'd be pretty tight. I'd like that. I would enjoy that. You're looking at me like not at all, Kyle.
I would just rather have a fancy meal that's correctly portioned. I think I enjoyed the food at Joe's wedding.
Yeah,
well, I'm sure.
Yeah, he did a good job.
He probably served enough chicken.
Yeah, he had a whole bunch of people back there fixing up the dinners.
My wedding was real. I think my wedding might be the best I've ever been to. And it wasn't super expensive. We got, so we dated for a long time. And then once I was ready to get married, I was like disappointed that we couldn't do it in like 3 weeks. I was like, how long does it really take to plan a wedding?
Yeah.
Let's just go. So it was a year between wedding date and engagement date roughly, but we like did nothing for 3 months or something. So my point is we booked a wedding place that wasn't booked. They were like 3 months out and we got a deal.
How many snakes were there?
There were no snakes
At
that
the
I know of.
services?
Yeah.
Well, how do you know if the Lord is okay with the union?
He's probably not. He's probably not.
The couple...
A Woodworth wedding without at least 4 snake attacks is considered adultery.
Yeah.
All right, who's catching the snake?
We went to
I brought mine.
we went to book the church, which is the church Jackie went to her whole life and whatever, and it felt like it kind of makes you entitled to being able to have a wedding there. And the priest was like, pregnant? And she's like, no. And he's like, tell the truth. Are you pregnant? And it's like, no, she's not pregnant. We're just ready to get married now. It's free.
Yeah. Shut up, holy
Fucking
man.
pedophile.
Let me do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry that I fuck things that can get pregnant, holy man. Not like you.
Ooh, that's a good strategy, right? All the evidence disappears in a few days.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. You
Gotten
read that
away with it for
morbid.
so long.
I get on morbid reality occasionally.
Okay.
Some father raped his son to death the other day. It's just
Well, you can't kill the son. You just have to keep him alive for like 3 days, and all the DNA evidence is probably gone.
that's the worst part. It wasn't an immediate death. He died from some sort of butthole infection he got from the rape.
Oh, Jesus.
That actually does void my plan. If that
I
risk
didn't want to go
exists.
into it that deeply, and neither did the son. But it was just dark. The internet the world is a dark place sometimes, but the internet is so good at aggregating all the darkness into one little singularity of darkness that you can just open up on your browser and scroll through instead of it needs to just leave it dispersed.
You know who else lives in that singularity? Policemen and EMTs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you almost
Like trauma doctors. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There are people who deal with the biggest problems day in and day out, and I have some sort of empathy for what it must do to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no way I would want to be like. Well, I've talked about it before. How like, so the other day someone was talking about socialism on TV or the internet, and they were like, "Hey, this is socialism, the police department. This is socialism, fire department." He's like, "It's not like you got a bunch of volunteers just running around putting out fires." And I'm like, actually, that's how we do it here. In like
volunteer
small towns.
firemen. Yeah.
Yeah, and like so those guys are volunteer and they're not getting. I don't think they get paid. They're volunteer. They're buying their own gear and shit. Like they want to do it. But the worst part of their job is when you sign up for that, they want that call at 4 a.m. House fire. Suit up, boys. It's go time. Jeremy does that shit.
Really?
Yeah. But in reality, like it's more often there's just a terrible car crash on the interstate and they need somebody to operate the shovel to scoop Granny up and put
That's
her in
all
a
they.
bag.
Oh, that's not the part of the job you want.
There's does anybody want this or take this from me?
Yeah, can I have it?
Score.
She still had some jewels on her fingers.
I wonder if what is in it for volunteer firemen? They just love fighting fires. They love doing heroic things. Like what? Why do you become
camaraderie? It's
okay,
and you
club
get to do cool,
kind of,
and you get to do cool stuff. They think it's cool to fight the fires. I've seen them. I had friends whose fathers did it, and you go over their house and they got a scanner over on top of the fridge. And you like listening, and they're always listening for that fucking Code 19, code 19. All units respond. They're just ready to jump out of bed and hop in the boots and throw the jacket on and like.
I don't want to give
Oh.
myself a potential 4 a.m. errand. That
They all
sounds
do it.
awful.
Yeah, they all do it. And I used to go. They would practice, right? They would do these scenarios, and
Mhm.
those were pretty. That was a show because they did this practice one time, and they were practicing how to deal with a propane tank, like one of the big ones outside people's homes.
Oh yeah.
Like if the cap got knocked off and it was on fire, so they hook a huge propane truck up to one of those external propane tanks so that it has plenty of fuel. They knock the cap off and they ignite it, and it's shooting this fire, this like fireball, this flamethrower of propane fire straight up in the air. I don't want to exaggerate, but 100 feet, 150 feet, I don't know. It's a plume of fire that it's so hot that it's
Damn.
It's like, oh God, we're too close, and we're not close at all. And then they all like sort of like get in this formation, like slow walking it down with the hoses until they like put the plume down and actually get it extinguished. And then they fucking do this lockety cap thing on it. They had a whole, practicing that procedure was cool as shit to watch.
Wow, what a procedure! Like I was like, so that it's a big propane tank, and I know these because I have one in my yard.
Mm-hmm.
It's on fire, and the gas is leaking. So they make the fire bigger by knocking the top off?
No. This was a scenario in which the top it's already been punctured.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's on fire, and they're dealing with that scenario.
Oh, okay. So when you said they knocked the cap off, that's how they set up the scenario.
Yeah, that's the scenario instigation. Yeah.
I see. And then they walk it down and put it out with a hose and water?
Yeah, they walked it down with the hose, and then they did something to it. I was like 12 at the time,
Oh,
so
okay.
like we were far back. I don't know what they did to like stop it at the end, like if they capped it off with something.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Oil fires
wouldn't
were a
want
neat
that.
thing. You can find them on YouTube where they put out the oil rig fire. So Saddam Hussein, when he was leaving Kuwait, he like ruined all their oil fields by setting them on fire and just wrecking them. And there were a lot. I think to say there were 1,000 oil fires is not too far off. And they had to bring in these specialists to go in there and put out the Kuwaiti oil fires. It was a big deal. Cool to see.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. We'll see who wins tonight. If I'm being honest, I probably won't. Blues game's on. It's almost dinner time, and my girlfriend's making Kung Pao chicken, and that's interesting me a lot more.
I keep reading that I won't know the real results for a few days because I think California in particular takes a while to count. And somehow that's dropped my interest.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no rush.
Yeah, circle back to me on Thursday when you know. That's fine.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
all right, PKN 289.